Hello and welcome, I'm Chris Munt, UK Technical Manager for Leyton House. And on this video we're going to be looking at grey coverage, but more specifically how to get grey coverage without getting warmth. And to achieve this we're also going to be looking at neutralising warmth and how to go from light to dark without getting any warmth in the hair, yet maintaining the longevity and the luscious shine you get from our colour. So to help demonstrate this today, I've got my block with me, and as you can see it's a block that has 4 colours on it. We have a natural colour over this side, we have some grey hair over this side, we have a pre-lightened section over this side, and then on this side we've got a very sort of coppery gold colour. So what we're going to talk about today is how we're going to colour each of these panels, the technique we're going to use, the colours we're going to use, so that we get a nice even coverage but on a cooler base. So the first panel we're going to take a look at is the lightest panel, and we're going to work our way down because each panel will help explain when we come to the grey hair and the resistant hair what can also be happening that gives you a warm result. So you may simply be going for your 5-0 or your double 5-0 to cover grey hair, but you're still finding warmth coming through in that. And this is going to help to explain it as we move around the head and the different mixtures we do. For the clients that are absolutely adamant that they want to go from light to dark, if I was to simply put a 5-0 on this or a 5-5-0 on this, then what's going to happen is it's going to look very wishy-washy, very translucent. It's not going to stick to the hair because there's nothing to stick to. All of the molecules have been lightened out, so we know that we need to put back that colour. So when you're lightening hair, as soon as you apply the lightener to the hair, the first colour you see come through is red. Then you get your red orange, your orange gold, and then finally, hopefully, you get your pale yellow come through. So when we're dropping back down, if we're going back down to a 5 and below, we need to put red back in the hair. If we're going to a 6 to an 8, we need to put copper back in the hair. And even if the hair is very porous, very dry, and we just want to drop a couple of shades, you do sometimes, if the hair is very white and very porous, need to put some gold or pale yellow back in the hair to make that colour adhere to the hair. Now the thought of putting red on this and then getting a cool colour can be a little bit scary, but it can be done, and there are a number of ways in which we can do this. And sometimes it's down to client's hair, sometimes it's down to the time you simply have in the salon. Now the best way to do this is to pre-fill the hair. So you're going to mix up your 0.6 with some water, lightly brush this over the hair, leave it for about 10 minutes, rinse it off, dry it, and then you're going to put your colour over the top of that. Now that can be a very long-winded process, and you may not have time when you're in the salon to do that. The other option is to go in and fill it with another colour. So the 021 is a cool filler for the hair, so we can add some of this to our target colour, in this case a 5, and that's going to help it cool down, make sure that red doesn't come through. Now I usually do a quarter, but you can go up to a half, you can go up to 3/4, but that is going to give you a very flat colour. So what we're going to do is we're going to pre-fill this, like I said, with the 0.6 and some water, rinse that off, dry the hair, and then we're going to put 3/4 of our 5-0 and a quarter of our 5-0-2-1. We're going to do that with 3%, and we're going to do that with our 3% because we're going darker. Next we come to our very coppery colour. Okay, this is probably actually harder to deal with than the pre-lightened hair. There is a massive amount of undertone here. It is very, very difficult to sort of neutralize this out, but we can do it. So in this instance, again, our target colour is 5. We're going darker, so we're going to be using our 3%. But in this instance, we're using our 1-8. So the 1 is blue and the 8 is a blue violet. Now we don't make a 5.18, but you can make them using the illuminates. Now the illuminates, if you have never used them, are fantastic. They're pure tone, and what you can do is you can add these into your colours to make the colours more vibrant, or you can add them into the colour to neutralise unwanted tone, which is exactly what we're going to do on this panel here. Okay, so I'm going to be using my 5.0 again, and I'm going to be adding in 1/4 of my 0.1 illuminate and 1/8 of my 0.8 illuminate. Now the 0.8 illuminate is new to the illuminates, and if you didn't want to do this, if you're a little bit worried, we do a 6.18, so you could add in 1/4 of your 6.18 into your 5 just to get the tone. Now finally, our grey hair. Now our grey hair is very difficult to deal with because it really depends on not really how much grey they have, but how resistant that grey is. So their hair texture plays a part here, whether it's fine or whether it's thick, and also as well whether it's Asian, Afro, or whether it's Caucasian hair. So when covering grey hair, you're going to have to look at how thick the hair is there a lot of it, does it feel very coarse, does it feel very rough. Now all of our base colours and our extra pigmented, the 550, will cover 100% grey hair on their own, and generally our mixing ratio is 1 to 1.5. However, moving to a 1 to 1 mixing ratio gives you much more deposit of tone on the hair and can help cover grey hair. Now if the hair is very, very resistant, then this is when you're going to move to your 6%, because the 6% is going to soften that cuticle and allow more colour to go into the hair. But again, this is where you can get warmth coming through. 3% roughly has about half to 1 level of lift in it. 6% has 1 to 2 levels of lift in it. So even though we're mixing our 6% at a 1 to 1 ratio, we're going to get more lift, more of these natural pigments, the reds, the coppers, or the gold coming through the hair. So on a base 5 you might get a lot more sort of red coming through. On a base 7, 8 you're going to get a lot more copper gold coming through. So you're going to have to counteract these tones. So once again we're going to be using our 021. So the 2 being violet and the 1 being blue, and this is going to cover really both of our options here. We've got the violet to neutralise any gold, and we've got the 0.1 to neutralise any copper. Now once again you can go more heavy-handed on this. You could do equal parts of your base to equal parts of your 021, and also extending the processing time, giving it an extra 5 to 10 minutes. The other thing to do is to place a lot of colour on the hair. It can be very difficult to get through grey hair, but when you finally do, it drinks it in, and if you haven't put enough colour on there, it soaks in all the colour, and then with no more colour it will start to bring that warmth out. Now obviously I've got a lot of hair here to cover, but I would say on an average 6-week regrowth, so about an inch, I'm going to mix up 50 grams of my colour. Then I'm going to use 50 grams of my developer. Now that's 100 grams for a regrowth, and people go, that is a lot of colour. I know, but as long as I get the result that I want and the client is happy and I don't have to reapply, this is going to save me time and money in the long run. Now again, when it comes to the developer, please use the cream developer that's formulated by Leyton House. These developers are stabilised and balanced to work with our colour. Now I know some of you are going to be watching over in the USA, so hello and welcome, but again, I also know that over there it is very popular to use liquid developers. Now, liquid developers have their advantages, but they have their disadvantages. And a couple of the disadvantages are, it changes the consistency of our colour. So you may not think that's such a big thing, but how it adheres to the hair, how it sticks to the hair, and how it's absorbed into the hair does make a difference. And the other thing is, liquid developers are not stabilized. So what this means is they're not really designed to be used with our color. So just bear that in mind when you're using our color. So we have 3 quadrants to color on this head. So as you can see, there's lots of different types of hair, lots of different tones within the hair, and what we're trying to achieve is a flat colour. And that depends massively on the type of hair you have to deal with, the percentage of grey, or whether you're going from light to dark. But by using the colours we have on the colour chart, using the 0.21, which is a violet blue, or by using the 0.18, which is a blue violet, we can counteract the different types of tone within the hair to achieve a very flat coverage. Now you may be looking for one colour that does everything, and that would be lovely, but it's simply not possible because you never know what reflex, which underlying tone that client is going to have. Is it going to be red? Is it going to be copper? Is it going to be yellow? And you're going to need to adjust your formulas likewise to counteract this. But all of these things are possible using the colours that are on the colour chart. So I hope this video has helped. I hope it's helped with explaining grey coverage, and I hope it's helped explain some of the underlying tones and the